Every team, every topic, everywhere. This is Believe.
Still think you're 134?
You might want to ask UAB if we're 134.
This is the Fun Belt Podcast, part of the Believe Network.
Hosts the Dusty Thibodeaux of Warhawks Report, Jeremy Harper of Howl Racer, and Shane Mettlen of the Daily News Record.
I think it's potentially a very good week for the Sun Belt.
But I'm just kind of going off on a random rant. It's just frustrating. It's Fun Belt Podcast. First year head coach Bryant Vincent dropping the Blazers in the grease after his 32-6 win over the Blazers, his former school. Guys, I don't think ULM's number 134 anymore.
Yeah. Oh, you could, Shane, do you hear it? The pride, the arrogance growing from Dusty Thibodeaux right now as his team, one of the few 2-0 teams in the land, as he basks in the revenge game against UAB and Trent Dilfer. Can you feel it?
As he should. Warhawks ought to feel good right now. I mean, they're not number 134. I wouldn't have had them at 134.
I would have.
To begin with. That's the worst, right? I can't keep track. There's 134 FBS teams at this point.
Yeah.
134, but look at it like this. How was Kennesaw State ranked above ULM? They
Yeah,
hadn't played a single FBS game. Temple, I think, had one win last year. ULM had two. How are they ranked ahead of ULM?
Oh, you know what? I'm hearing a lot of pent-up bitterness coming to the surface, Shane. Like he was all like contrite and humble at the beginning of the season. Maybe we win 2 games, Jeremy. Shane, I don't know much about this team. Seems like a lot of unknown factors. Oh, we're 134. That's probably where we belong. Now suddenly Tibbs wants to be in the top 25.
I don't remember Tibbs being quite like that, to be honest. I mean, not that he was saying top 25, but he told us all along, hit the over on that 1.5 wins hard.
He did.
He already made some money. We should have listened.
Yeah, that's
bet the mortgage.
Is that what you did? Is that why you've got the grand piano and the 12-foot vaulted ceilings and the stone?
That, or I'm hanging out in a bridge under I-20, and this is just my virtual background. One of the two.
Well, anyway, congratulations. I was at the game at Arkansas State, so I didn't get to see any of the ULM game. Was very pleased with you to see that the game was not only like a victory for the Warhawks, but a resounding victory. Maybe you can tell us what happened.
I'll put it this way. They were really one and the same team. They really were. They talked all week about how a lot of the ULM assistants were obviously on staff at UAB before. There was a lot of familiarity between the two programs. They were really one and the same. The difference was 3 turnovers, 3 takeaways that the Warhawks had, and then when the Warhawks were finding the end zone, UAB was either having to punt, turning it over on downs, or kicking a field goal, and unable to really find pay dirt in the end zone. Still like Zeno, the quarterback there for UAB, though. I thought he was a pretty good player. Thought that he had a lot of promise. But at the same time, it's always great when the Sun Belt can get a big win over the American, as we still try to prove our way or push ourselves back up to the top of the G5 Premier League. But we still got a ways to go behind the Mountain West. But with that said, Georgia Southern, they got a win over Nevada, something Troy wasn't able to do.
Jeez, I was tired of Nevada with that reign of terror. First frightening SMU and then coming back and destroying the hopes and dreams of Troy, and then, playing a pretty good game against Georgia Southern. But kudos to the Eagles to putting an end to that shit, right?
Yeah, and I mean, they led Boise State in the fourth quarter, right, of that game in week 1. So, I think Boise State's kind of looking like, we got to put Northern Illinois up there because of their big win at Notre Dame. But I still think Boise State's probably the cream of the crop in the G5. And then, you take Boise out of the Mountain West equation. I think a lot of these conferences are pretty similar, and the Sun Belt's right up there.
Boy, that wasn't that the laziest shit move by the AP though. It's like, okay, so Northern Illinois got the big win. Where are we going to put them? Oh, I don't know, 25th. Oh, and let's put Notre Dame at 16. Come on. I mean, what does the group of five have to do to get any kind of respect? That's the respect they get. Oh, you beat the
Play
number
nobody
five.
and go undefeated is the only way you'll get respect.
Way. I mean, Notre Dame, they it's like they're still ranked ahead somehow. How does that math even work out? I don't know. It just drives me absolutely insane. I feel like the people who are voting in these polls have to be the absolute laziest people on earth. 25. Oh, hey, Northern Illinois beat number 5 Notre Dame at South Bend. I don't know. We'll put them at 25. F those guys. I'm tired of this tyranny, Tibbs. Talk me down off the ledge.
Well, at least there were no... Oh, go ahead, Shane, please.
I was going to say, we do need to maybe like explain how the poll works, because it's not like just one person slots them in at 25. It factors in like a lot of votes. So some people probably had them higher. Some people didn't have them ranked at all. Like
every one of those motherfuckers, Shane, are
you're turning the AP poll into like a single. It's like when people get mad at politics and they just talk about the media, like it's all one entity. But
it's all groupthink. It's a hive mind. They just get in the bzzz. Oh yeah, well, we got it. What can we do? I guess we're going to put Northern Illinois at 25. I'm telling you, does Northern Illinois even belong there? I don't know. I just find it insulting that somehow Notre Dame gets to stay in the poll, but still somehow be ahead of the team that beat them. It does not make sense, Shane Mettlen. You can make all. Listen, I know you're part of the journalist crowd and you're trying to defend all these guys. That's fine with me, man. That's what you got to do. You do what you got to do, Shane. I'm speaking for the people, and the people say Northern Illinois should be ranked number 5.
Okay, but I will say this is like a good argument.
Okay.
For your argument that we don't need polls until week 4 or 5 of the season. What do we actually know? Like, was it just a bad day for Notre Dame? Is Northern Illinois really one of the 25? We don't know. We've seen 2 games. Like,
yeah, we don't have any data.
Yeah,
the sample size is too small. That's why we know that. I mean, it was historically funny that Florida State was in the poll to begin with. I mean, it's just kind of hilarious. So here we are. Anyway, Shane Mettlen, this isn't a show about trashing the AP. It's not about talking about Northern Illinois. It's not even bringing up Notre Dame. Tibbs, this is about the Sun Belt. How did we get off track here? Was it me?
I don't know, but while we're off track, of course it's you. While we're off track, we might as well slip in kind of the beat down there that App State took at Death Valley there against Clemson. Did not see that one coming. Figured that 17-point spread was at least going to be covered by App State.
Yeah.
But Clemson put 35 up in the first quarter and cruised to that 66 to not enough finale.
I was thinking, I'm putting together my preview of Arkansas State versus Michigan. And I said, man, you got to remember, Clemson looked pretty bad against Georgia. I mean, we have to admit, they didn't look like a top 25 team against Georgia. Come out and totally cream Appalachian State. So, yeah, Michigan did look like a really good team against Texas. So you got to take a little breath there. But, yeah, Shane, were you surprised to see that score?
Yeah, I was surprised how quickly it got out of hand. And I think I picked App State to win last week, didn't I? I don't know.
I think we all might have flirted with that idea.
Yeah, and I think I might have got bold, but you just don't see that from App State very often. I mean, we've seen them, even when they've lost games to Power 5, Power 4
it's been
teams,
close.
It's been very competitive, and they caught Clemson at a bad time, obviously. They wanted to prove something. They wanted to take out some frustrations on a team. And yeah, I don't know. We'll probably get into this with a few teams, but I think it's one to not worry too much about. If you're App State, move on and just kind of forget this one ever happened. And you still got a lot in front of you because you just didn't play very well this week.
Tib, I'm remembering what I said about Appalachian State in regards to the game against Clemson. I think what I said last week was the only team that blows out Appalachian State is Western Kentucky. Well, I guess we can add Clemson to that list.
We definitely can. I'll tell you what, though, guys, as ugly as that game was,
yeah,
somehow we held on to the Jeremy special there in saying the Sun Belt doesn't lose to FCS teams. But, man, I thought the Panthers were going to fall to the Mocs. I thought James Madison was going to have an implosion there from the other dogs. It was an ugly FCS weekend.
It's been an ugly FCS year for the Group of Five in general, particularly for the Sun Belt. Shane, who was more despondent in the Sun Belt East? Fans of Appalachian State in the loss against Clemson, or fans of JMU in the squeaker against Gardner Webb?
Might be JMU. I don't know. I feel like the App State fans can kind of like just be like, okay, we're not as good as Clemson, so what?
Yeah.
Like there's not as much panic, I don't think, down in Boone just it's weird because, Tibbs just said like he thought, JMU was going to let it get away. I don't think there was ever like a sense in the stadium that JMU was going to lose, but like there was a sense like they have not played this bad in a long time, and that's not good that's not boding well for the rest of this season. And I think that was kind of the takeaway and the mood after that one. I don't know if I totally agree with that, but that's kind of where everybody stood, I think, if you wore purple and gold.
Now, Georgia State, Tibbs, they're not projected. Now, unlike JMU, Georgia State not really projected to do much. Got that win against Chattanooga. Chattanooga, historically, I don't know about this year, historically a good FCS team. They come away with the win. Should they feel kind of happy with that, giving Del McGee that big win?
Yeah, first one of the season. It's always a big one. First one of his head coaching career, or collegiate head coaching career, I guess we could say. Was always great to get that victory. So you got to be happy with that. But I'll tell you this, right up the road in Kennesaw, when I saw the Owls take that early 3-0 or 7-0 lead over the Raging Cajuns, I think we all kind of felt a little pucker like, uh-oh, they might have overlooked them, but they were able to turn it on late and kind of get that big win.
Yeah, I hate to take it away back from Louisiana. I did want to point out, though, that Georgia State has a pretty cool freshman running back by the name of Freddie Block. I thought that was just a great name. I just wanted to bring that up. But yeah, it's no booty. No, nothing is booty. That's for sure. But yeah, Louisiana also with and it seems to me the Cajuns always have a little trouble. Well, I keep thinking Kennesaw State, by the way, is a FCS program. Forgive me for that. I know they've just been elevated, but in a way, aren't they kind of a FCS program, Tibbs? Don't you kind of feel that maybe they still are?
I mean, it's always tough in that transition, right? I mean, they just started their program a handful of years ago, and so they're still building up. I think that it kind of takes away maybe a little bit of that transition we saw when like Western Kentucky made the jump, or any of the other traditional FCSs made the jump with the portal and everything else. You don't really necessarily have that kind of building up into becoming an FBS program.
Yeah, but that's the CUSA guys that make the jump. It's not like the Sun Belt programs. The Sun Belt guys were like, we're going to do our research. We're going to pick the right guys. These guys are ready to go. CUSA feels like, man, we are desperate to fill out this roster of teams, or we're not even going to be a conference next year. I feel like maybe the diligence wasn't due for CUSA. And maybe because I hate CUSA, I'm saying that, but I kind of feel that way.
I don't think that's necessarily off base. I mean, Kennesaw State to me was like, that was the big reach as far as teams that move up. I'd still put Sam Houston in there too. Like their coach didn't even want to move up. Their stadium was not.
Yeah, why are these guys moving up?
And Kennesaw State's the same way. Was their stadium like seat like 5,000 or something like that? It's
just bizarre.
Yeah, I mean, and then once Conference USA was able to take some time and like get on more stable footing and go out and actually look for who they wanted, I think Delaware is going to be a solid addition. I think, Missouri State is going to be a solid addition. Not to the level of like App State and Georgia Southern joining the Sun Belt. Yeah. Like, those are programs that have been thinking about making the move for a while. Whereas like Kennesaw State just totally felt like, oh, you got a spot open? I guess we'll give it a shot.
Yeah, it's like suddenly the captain of the football team asks you to the prom. Well, yeah, sure, I'm going to go. But yeah, I'll do that. Not that ever happened to me, guys. I've never had the captain of the football team ask me to the prom. But it's just an analogy. It's not like some historical thing that happened.
We did have a great FCS upset, though, while we're on that note real quick. Idaho, the champions of the Sun Belt. They did get a big win on the road at Wyoming this past weekend. So at least we're not like the Mountain West and giving up FCS victories.
See, well, the Mountain West doesn't have that policy in place. We do. We do not lose to FCS. Mountain West, they're okay with it. Not us.
CUSA lost one too. UTEP lost to Southern Utah.
Oh, burn. not the Sun Belt, though.
No,
I mean, we had some moments.
The policy we do have is that we have the weirdest team in all of college football, Old Dominion. Yeah. They might be the best 0-2 team out there, as they fell in that very, very close game. I thought somehow they were going to be able to pull it off, but no, they kept it weird. I did see good friend of the show, Dave Schultz, talking about Old Dominion. We might be getting a new quarterback with Grant Wilson getting benched after that game when they fell to East Carolina 20-14. Thoughts there on America's weirdest team?
Well, first of all, Grant Wilson only has 3 passing touchdowns right now, so he's not really getting it done. You know who is getting it done for ODU? It's that defense, and I feel sorry for a defense that keeps a team in these games, and the offense just doesn't come out and rewards the effort. And that's kind of what's going on with ODU, and maybe that's what's going on with Grant Wilson. So they need some kind of spark, Shane Mettlen. They need something on the offensive side to where the defense doesn't have to go, God, we got to hold these guys to 0 for ourselves to have a chance to win.
Yeah, you shout out the defense. I want to shout out like an individual on the defense.
Ooh, okay.
ODU has somebody record 18 tackles, and it's not Jason.
It's not Henderson. No.
Tuola. Like that's a hell of a day when you're overshadowing the leading tackler in the world, in the universe, right? I mean, I think nobody gets more tackles than Jason Henderson, and you do it. It might not do much to stem the conspiracy theories about like racking up those tackles at home. I'm not pushing that. I'm just saying, like, other people might grab onto that since it happened in Norfolk. But no, I think that was a hell of a day for Tuola.
Okay. Shane Mettlen dropping conspiracy theories here on Fun Dunk Podcast.
I'm teasing a little bit. I've already been on record saying I don't think that's the case over there at ODU.
Yeah, I think I forget who ODU has this week. It's another kind of premier team like a Virginia Tech.
This is a PSA, or public sock announcement. Experts have declared Bombas socks as the best way to warm up chilly feet. These pairs are super cushy, soft, and designed for maximum coziness. Plus, for every pair purchased, another pair will be donated, so someone in need of essential clothing can stay warm this winter. Go to bombas.com/listen and use code LISTEN for 20% off your first purchase. That's BOMBAS.com/listen and use code LISTEN at checkout.
But you got to feel bad for ODU. They stay in the games. We love Ricky Ronnie. Ricky Ronnie, one of our favorite guys. He's gnashing his teeth. I think ODU has lost these last 2 games by a total of 10 points. you got to be wondering if we could only score a little bit more, we would be winning these games.
Old Dominion hosting Virginia Tech, by the way. We'll cover that in our next episode, whenever that is there, Jeremy.
Could be anytime. It could be tonight. We don't know.
Who knows? So, guys, we're 2 weeks into the season. Who's standing out? Who's kind of fallen? Like, do you still feel that we are exactly where we thought we would be in the Sun Belt Conference right now?
I tell you what, Troy was getting a lot of like preseason. Maybe they'll crack the top 25. Maybe they'll three-peat in the Sun Belt. Man, I was watching that Memphis-Troy game on Saturday, and Troy is nowhere near the team that it used to be. Yes, in the game against Memphis, they had some key players out, including their center. Their star running back had to sit out the first half. Goose Crowder actually got hurt for a little bit. So it was a rough game for Troy, but they did not look like the team they used to be. And how could they? They've lost so many just transformative players on that team. I don't know how you replace them. To me, this is a multi-year rebuild for Jared Parker. I get that name right soon. For Coach Parker, this is a multi-year rebuild for them. And Troy just has to sit it out and wait for that rebuild to happen.
Yeah, doesn't it feel a little bit like Louisiana a couple of years ago?
Yeah.
Billy Napier leaves, and it just takes a little time to rebuild. And I think Mike DeSormo is going in the right direction. But when you're used to winning conference championships, you don't want to have a down year if you're a fan of that team. And I think it's just going to be a little bit longer rebuild than maybe Troy and the Cajuns a couple of years ago wanted to sit through.
Yeah, Shane, you're right. When Coach, Billy Napier, when Billy Napier left, it was like, oh, well, it's okay. The Cajuns are still going to be good. They'll probably compete for the title again. And that just wasn't the case. You lose a lot of guys. You lose leadership. You lose philosophy. And you just got to rebuild it. And Troy is finding that out the hard way. Same way as South Alabama. South Alabama never could get over that hump, right? And they missed their opportunity. Their window kind of shut on them. Now they don't have the same players anymore. They don't have the same leadership. They're going to have to figure out something quick too.
I'm going to say this for my disappointing team, and you're going to look at me like I'm crazy.
Oh, yeah.
State. It's sad that we have legitimately become accustomed to them pulling off those big wins against Texas A&M, against, they didn't beat North Carolina, but they were right there on the cusp, taking them to overtime. And for them to be kind of skull-drug against Clemson, that's kind of a disappointment that we all really have that expectation that the Mountaineers are going to be hanging right there with the big boys, if not beating them. And so It's crazy to say, but that's just the way I feel after 2 weeks.
I was just going to say, you just don't expect App State to ever get blown out to that degree. But, I mean, I look across the board and, there are a few surprises, ULM and Coastal to the degree that they're beating teams right now, I think is a little bit of a surprise. But for the most part, teams have the record we'd expect them to have right now. It's just you get the poor performance against Lamar if you're Texas State or A-State or JMU, but then your other wins are relatively impressive. So everybody's got about the same record I would have picked, but the path to getting there has not quite been what I would have expected.
Shane, that's a good point. And I think you also bring up something we haven't even mentioned yet, guys. The win that Texas State had against UTSA, that's a real turning point for the Bobcats. They've never done it. They couldn't beat UTSA. They didn't just beat UTSA. They thumped their cantaloupes, man. It was a thumping. UTSA is beside themselves. They don't know what's going on. They're crying at night, waking up in tears. That's a great win for the Bobcats.
And the league as a whole, getting that big win over UTSA. Because that's a team that we've faced a couple times in the bowl season before and may not have walked away with the victories in all of those games. So huge win for the Bobcats. Bobcats to me are still the most impressive team that I've seen because we knew that Jordan McLeod coming in was going to be a legit quarterback there for them. I don't think we realized how as I called it last week, it's a cheat code when he's in the game. I mean, it really is that they just are able to march up and down the field at will, and that offense is damn near unstoppable.
Yeah, they're going to be tough to beat. I still don't understand why we're not seeing more. I don't know, love for Texas State right now. They get Arizona State this week. Maybe finally they'll get what they deserve. But Texas State's a good team. I'm going to shout out my Arkansas State team. The three of us that we have root and interest. We're all 2-0. That's really good. Arkansas State also notched that AAC win against Tulsa. Looked really, kind of pedestrian the first half. Looked excellent the second half. So it was a fun game. We had a good time there. So yeah, you're right, Shane. I think there's 6 teams right now that are 2-0. I mean, that's not bad. And it's just the manner in which they've gotten to be 2-0 that's a little concerning for some of these teams.
Any individual performances jump out to you so far through the first 2 weeks?
I'll go back to McLeod. I mean, I think, the stats aren't necessarily super surprising, but they jumped on UTSA early. He had a really good first quarter to kind of get them. And he's not always a guy who has like fast starts going back to his time at JMU. And I think he might just be playing with a chip on his shoulder this year. Let's be honest. Texas State's not where he thought he was going to land. Texas State had other plans at quarterback, and they just kind of wound up together, and it seems like a great fit. And I think he's playing a little more energized and a little more charged up than maybe he has in his career. He's always been maybe a little too laid back, and I think he's got a little chip on his shoulder right now.
Yeah, and to answer your question, Tibbs, I can't think of one player outside of McLeod that has really stood out right now. They're you look at Jalen White, the running back for Georgia Southern, for instance. He's a great running back. He has something like 55 yards rushing this year. I mean, where are the big stats guys this year? I know it's only 2 games. Still waiting for that monster 400 game passing. Still waiting for that 250-yard rusher. Still waiting for a 3-touchdown wide receiver. I think we're just still kind of waiting for that star to break out.
I think J.C. French is a guy that's kind of maybe had a little bit of a standout early on. No interceptions, 4 touchdowns, averaging right around 280 yards per contest. I think that's pretty good. And, I mean, that's the second best right now behind Jalen Rayner in the Sun Belt Conference and ahead of Joey Aguilar and Ben Woolridge, 2 other quarterbacks that we really like and kind of admire. So great things out of French. And I think that's probably one of my early impressive performers.
Yeah, I think what's good about French is we didn't really have him on our radar, and he's come out and had a really good season. Shane?
I was going to put Ethan Vasco as kind of an honorable mention type of guy. His stats Saturday weren't really super impressive, but leads him to a couple of blowout victories. He's a true dual threat guy who I think opens up a lot for the Coastal offense. And there was questions. What are they going to be after Grayson McCall? And I think he's risen to the occasion.
And I will shout out Jalen Rayner a little bit more. He is leading the league in passing, and he's leading the league among quarterbacks in rushing yards. So he's putting up some numbers, just not dynamite. Nobody's really just putting up those dynamite numbers yet. But we got plenty of football left. Somebody's going to rise to the top, Shane Mettlen, I promise you.
While we wait for everyone to rise to the top, Jeremy, it's definitely time for plugs, promos, and parting shots. Shane, tell us about the Daily News Record.
I was going to plug something.
Yes.
You put it on Twitter. It looks like we've got a few subscribers already, but check out our YouTube channel. We could get a little extra, a little extra, dinero if people want to check it out there. So you guys give me a hard time for wearing a collared shirt today, but people might be watching us. So here you go.
He's dressed up just for you.
Yeah, you do it for the people, and we appreciate it. But we don't do this for the money, guys. We're just
doing much about the rest of the thing, but I can wear a nice shirt.
I think we should all go shirtless and really get that female audience that we're missing right now. No? All right. I was,
Jeremy, what else do you have for your plug promo and parting shot?
I'm spitballing ideas, and none of you guys are listening, so that's fine. I don't really have much. I did watch a show on Netflix. You guys watched something called The Perfect Couple, starring Nicole Kidman. You seen this?
No.
No, it doesn't seem up your alley. Here's what I'll say about Nicole Kidman, which she's been a crush of mine since, Dead Calm. Remember Dead Calm? Has Billy Zane in it. He's the villain. You don't remember Dead Calm? Set on a yacht. You don't remember Dead Calm?
I don't remember.
Why are you, Jeremy, the one that always come? Like, I love some shitty horror movies.
Yeah.
But you come up with the weirdest shows possible.
Dead Calm. Sam Neill, Billy Zane, and a very young Nicole Kidman. All right. Check it out. She's awesome. But I'm telling you, she is an ageless wonder. She is 57 years old. There are actresses in this show, The Perfect Couple, that are like maybe a third of her age. Doesn't even come close to the way this woman carries herself. She is an amazing discoverer of the Fountain of Youth. I have to give her credit. Nicole Kidman, she's still rocking it at the age of 57. I'm 50. I look like a sack of rocks. Nicole Kidman, congratulations. I want to know your secrets.
I'm glad you said rocks so we can keep this PG.
What, none from you? Come on.
I'm getting ready.
Okay. All right.
You speak about shows.
Okay.
There's a great comedy that we're in the midst of watching right now on Netflix. Dead to Me.
Yes. Okay.
Starring Christina Aguilera.
Wow.
No, Christina Applegate. There we go.
Oh, all right. I was.
All Christinas are the same.
No, they're not.
They're not the same.
Kelly Bundy is much better than Christina Aguilera.
Kelly Bundy. Where her husband was killed by a hit-and-run driver, and somehow she has now befriended said driver without knowing it. And so it's been a great comedy, kind of a dark comedy, but it's been a great comedy. Interested to see kind of which way the show goes. I'm still on season 1. There's 3 currently through Netflix. Check it out. Hit us up on Twitter. Let us know what you think about it. Just don't watch whatever Jeremy recommends.
This is a mini meditation guided by Bombas. Repeat after me. I'm comfy, comfy. I'm cozy, cozy. I have 0 blisters on my toes. Blisters. And that's because I wear Bombas, the softest socks, underwear, and T-shirts that give back. One purchased equals one donated. Now go to bombas.com/listen and use code LISTEN for 20% off your first purchase. That's BOMBAS.com/listen and use code LISTEN at checkout.